Ja, herzlich willkommen zur Mission Safety Digital at A+A. Hier heute live
So, welcome back to Mission Safety from Dräger at the second day of the NA Trade Fair in Düsseldorf. Before we start, I'm going to point out a few technical details for people who maybe are here for the first time. Use the chat for ideas, proposals, questions, any queries you may have. Otherwise, you're going to need a smartphone with the QR code scanner app, if possible. And this will allow you to communicate with us and give us your reaction to things and questions we maybe ask you today, as well as general feedback. And also you can give us likes if you wish, and applause if you wish. These are very encouraging for us, and we're always pleased to see them. We also have an email that you can use. I'll show you the email address. Here it is. If you have any questions or inquiries or information to share after this session. And you see also there's the QR code.
Hallo und herzlich willkommen.
Hi, and a warm welcome to this year's A+A.
Ja, und da sind wir wieder zurück.
Yes, we're back. Mission Safety Digital at A+A. Today we're going to talk about, the last session in services, and our motto here is, do what you can do best, we'll do the rest. Before we start, I'd like to say, well, we've plenty of interesting material prepared for you. We're going to communicate to each other by saying do in German, which of course isn't relevant for English. Everybody says you. And I can introduce myself. Kim Pietz is my name. I'm event manager for Dräger for the region of Germany. And yesterday and today, I had the honor of conducting you through the sessions in our studio. We, of course, comply in our studio with the strict regulations regarding COVID-19 protection. That is, everybody here is either cured or vaccinated or recently tested negatively for this pandemic. Those of you who were watching yesterday or this morning may know our artist. That's a graphic recorder who's going to record our discussion graphically. Here she is, Ingrid in Berlin. Hi. Hello, Kim. Now, Ingrid, this is our last session. You were very busy yesterday and this morning. I'd like to ask you, could you maybe give us a brief review of what we've covered today? Yes, hello from my side. Ingrid is my name. I'm a graphic recorder. That means I follow events like this, and I create images, drawings from these events with my view of what we've dealt with, which is just, as I said, a very personal view. Now, here you are, Kim. I hope I got you right. That was yesterday, right? Here's a signpost with all the sessions, and you see the second one from the bottom, services. That's the only one that we've still got to do. Here's another image of all the interesting discussions we had at the stand, and here's Anneliese at our trade fair booth. And yesterday we talked about protective clothing, protective suits, and also multilingual workplaces and the difficulties and challenges they pose. And those who weren't there yesterday, I'd like to say that we also dealt with demographic change and what that means for an aging staff. We talked about light breathing protection and the challenges that poses, and we talked about this mask dispenser, and the pandemic precautions. And there was also a lot going on today. We talked about smart safety, Dutch digitization, and I think maybe this chaos is a good reflection of what it meant in my head, in my brain. You know, I just imagine all the connections, all the links in this regard, and maybe all of this complexity will in the future allow us to sit at home and enjoy life with our feet up while everything is carried out automatically. We talked about Dräger Voice also, where if you're not sure if a substance is hazardous or what levels are in your workplace, then you can send it to our lab, and that's going to be assessed for you, and the advice and information is going to be given to you as a result. Then we talked about the new rules. There's a new rule in the offing, and the limit values are being reduced. So this is to show how measurements can be taken in line with the new limit values. And we see that where at the beginning there may be red areas where you can't proceed and some green areas. We and at Dräger want to help you reach only the green area where you can continue uninterrupted and unimpeded in your operations. Thanks, Ingrid. That was a very, very intensive presentation of very intensive days, I think. And we have one more session to do, so we're going to start. But first, I'm going to say hello to my friends at the fair booth. And I see that they've got, as usual, some very competent support. So that's Annalisa, my colleague. Who have you got there beside you? Hi, Kim. The second day, time flies. Incredible, we're at the end of the second day. Here's Olaf, but Olaf is going to introduce himself in detail later. But first of all, thanks for the introduction, and talk to you later. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Annalisa. Now, I also have competent support here. That's why I'm going to go over to my discussion corner and talk to Hannes. Hannes, I'm Regional Product Marketing Manager for Services in Dräger. I've been in the company for 1 year, and I really like it very much here. That's great. Dräger Services is a big issue, of course, for Dräger. It's a big thing. What do you like about it? Well, because there's such a wide variety of services. Generally, we have the support service. We also have training and seminars. And of course, we also provide advice. Of course, we have a rental service for our customers too. And as I said, advice and consulting for our customers. Now, many companies and businesses have to follow certain regulations. How can Dräger Services support them? Well, of course, everybody has to comply with the regulations, because ultimately lives and the health of your staff and other people depend on that. And that's why the right equipment, right protection must be in place, and all regulations must be observed. You're right, it's something that's of vital importance in the true sense of the word. What do you associate with this need for these services? Well, everybody wants the staff to come home healthy and happy at the end of a daily work, so it's important that people know how to work the devices properly, and that's why we provide support in training on these operations. A lot of companies also have Vision Zero. That means they have set themselves a goal, and so have we actually. Very strictly here at Dräger, we've set ourselves a goal of reducing the amount of accidents to zero wherever we're involved. And this Mission Zero, how does that relate to services? Well, we advise all customers in relation to safety and help them implement them. And if they have capacities, maybe a shortfall in capacities, we can support them. We can give rent out or provide to the customer services and devices at short notice. We also try to communicate to our customers the advantages of these processes and products, and meet the customer specifically and individually and his individual needs. Okay, thank you, Johannes. I can imagine that's a very broad subject, but I'd like now to turn to my viewers. What do you think, Hannes? Shall we have a brief survey here? Okay, now, as I said, it would be great if you have a smartphone with this QR code scanner, or else you can go on our website and take part in this survey. The question here is, what service cases are required in your business? So what service cases occur in your daily operations? And you can give us feedback immediately. And I see some of you already have. And keep the responses coming as we speak. So I see there's a word cloud emerging here. You see the word maintenance is very large here. I see. You can see the focus is very strongly here on classical service products, that is maintenance and care of our products, whereas it's protection equipment and apparel or gas detectors, things for fire service, fire protection services and industries. And a lot of those services are really our hobby horse, so we feel quite prepared to provide them to a wide range of customers for all their needs. Now we've got a question: what do services involve, like gas detection or PSR? That's the next question. The question is, what products are entailed in your need for services? And here the responses already coming in live. It varies a little bit, but I think it's quite balanced. You see, half of all people surveyed think both are relevant. That is the gas detection and protective clothing and equipment. And of course that's true, because there are regulations on both of these, and regulations always have to be met and fulfilled. Okay, now all good things come in threes, as we said, so we have a third question for you, again with the Q code response. The question is, have these services been outsourced or did you carry them out yourselves? Tell us what your opinion is. Well, that's an initial response. Yes, it's quite balanced. You see slightly more than half customers are able or feel able to carry them out themselves. We've carried out some training in measurement technology and detection, as well as protective clothing and equipment, so it looks like that's going somewhere. Okay, now also you can communicate to us with the chat function what experiences you've had, what problems you have, what challenges do you see. Our experts will be pleased to answer your questions. Now we're going to talk about product services specifically. We did these services. How relevant is this for the service routine work? Well, we see in product services, maintenance and care for the products they were very central responses from the customers, and that's something we're very strong in. There are many ways of getting these products. You can send them, the service, you can send it to us on site. You can order a technician to visit your plant. I mean, if you've got a lot of equipment there, that's probably the most likely and the most rewarding solution. And I think you've got a small video prepared for this service, have you? Yes, we have. Okay, maybe we can show that on the full screen. Let's show you. This is the manufacturer service being shown here. Johannes, you can talk us through this. Well, you see, that's a very comfortable platform. You can use it from home. You enter the serial number, tell us what service you want to avail of, give us your address, and you order the service then very, very quickly. It's a matter of minutes from any place. You can do that. It's very simple, uncomplicated, and easily accessible. And we have, I see the video is still running. You can also put in manufacturing point, herstellerservice.de. And if you enter an inquiry here on this website, you get very cool features and also one giveaway, including a tool set, and you benefit from our new features. Like always, when the service is due for you, you know, we keep you up to date. We tell you exactly when your service is due again. And we also allow you to track your device and its progress through our service operations. We tell you when it's in the workshop, when it's left, when it's finished, etc. So let's say, how does a manufacturer decide on the right service for him? Well, that depends on many factors, like how large is his business operation, how many devices has he got? Has he got linear activities? Is that plannable, or does everything change at short notice? You know, have we capacity for doing this maintenance ourselves or looking after it ourselves? And again, if the workers are present centrally or are they decentral? Because, of course, if you have to drive around providing service at various locations, that can be a bit difficult. Okay, now we've seen something interesting at the trade fair booth before, and we're going to go back to them now. Yes, and Lisa. Hi, thanks. Olaf and I are standing now in the service area of our booth. Olaf, tell us something about yourself and what relates you to Dräger. Okay, thank you very much, and hello from Hall 6. You can come and meet me here anytime you want. I'm a developer for this business area in the academy. People ask me, why do you like that? Why are you interested in so much? Well, the reason is that service is something I've been working with practically all my life, and I followed it all the way through Dräger, like from the time of stationary technology, now into mobile. So I'm very pleased to be here and to help you in this regard and give you advice. Okay, as Kim said, we have something interesting to show you here. Now we're standing here beside these cubes. What do they mean? Well, the purpose here is to give you an idea of what our services mean. First of all, maintenance and servicing of tools and equipment, that's one thing, of course, we all know that. But beyond that, it's not just maintenance. We also talk about training. And as we've seen that, a lot of people like to do this maintenance themselves. They can also contract it out to us. And you can see a whole range of services from these cubes. Now, apart from classical service, I know I've said that before, but we also do training, seminars, and staffing. And also we support people in procurement. We also provide a rental service of this equipment that's make them all available to the user at short notice. And it just means we have a very, very wide range of services that our customers can and do avail of. Okay, so a very wide portfolio here. I'd like to ask you, what demands do the customers normally have? Can you give us a few examples? Well, I mean, just as many as our cubes are here, then just as varied are the customers' needs, but let's go through it. We have at the top companies like laboratories and tradesmen, craftsmen, who, let's say, don't have a very wide range or a portfolio of equipment. So let's say if they have intervals of half a year before maintenance, then they can maybe talk about, is it better for them to buy one, to buy a device, or to rent it? The same is for maintenance. You know, you can get a maintenance contract for every half hour or more regularly. Or maybe you can just use our digital service for ordering the service just as you need them. So exactly, we have a solution for all of these people here. So these are for people who maybe don't have so many devices and also long intervals between maintenance. Then also contractors. A lot of contractors work for large corporations. They do kind of revision, monitoring, whatever. What kind of challenges do they face? Well, these are generally peaks that they talk with, like demand peaks, supply peaks, and a contractor is, of course, at the very intensive end of the production. So let's say if they need more devices, very at short term, so we can say, okay, we can sell them to you very promptly, but maybe then for the rest of the time they're going to be lying around. So instead we offer them this rental model, just so the people can draw our devices, use them for a certain time at their peak times, just when they need them. Or else we say, when the contractor is with the customer, we can carry out the service there on location, on site. And of course, as we've seen, 50% of our people do the maintenance themselves. So we do the training for them. We provide instructions on how to carry out this service and maintenance of their equipment parks. Okay. But that doesn't cover all customer groups, does it? No, of course not. There are also major customers, for example. But even there, again, the variety is something that you see every time, you know. Customers, they have much larger inventories of equipment, of course. But at this point, I think we can say that even for them, the same models apply. These models work. It has to be profitable for the customer, no matter what size their business is. We don't want to provide only one service, but a range of services. So even large customers can use the same options: purchase or rental, training, service, maintenance, whatever. And so they can have a look in our rental shop where these things can be ordered at short notice. And also they can have their own officers in charge of maintenance who we give training to. And large customers have a lot of users. These users can be trained, and that can be done virtually or live through presence. And we have here the safety shop. Could you maybe say a few words about that? Well, I think you can see here that it's a very colorful mix. Service isn't a boring time. You know, as you can see from me, I'm very interested in the whole thing, even excited, enthusiastic about the whole thing. And you can see the range of products here. And you think about how long has Dräger been selling walkie-talkies, you know, honestly, Dräger. But yes, we do. That's part of our customers' needs. So therefore, it's part of our product portfolio. And we also, of course, have the standard Dräger products. That rounds off our whole product portfolio. We have them in the shop, so if the customer needs them in peak times, they can take them, purchase them at short notice, or hire them out on a rental basis. We've got trained personnel to advise the customer on what he needs, what's the best way of acquiring it, either short-term or permanently. So digitization is great. Of course, we all know that, but sometimes the personal contact is also good if somebody wants to ask a question. So that's like the all-round carefree package, right? Exactly, that's what that is. In this case, the customer will always be sure that the equipment he has are maintained, or that if he keeps them on a permanent basis, then he will get notification of the maintenance and service intervals and when they are due. Okay, but over here again, there's something I really want to talk to you about. I see here a green lump. A very small part of it. Yes, that's interesting. Something green and peaceful beside all this blue. You know, it stands out a bit in that regard. Okay, remember, ecology is important for everybody. No, seriously. For 2022, we have to change our training catalog. There's so many seminars which are being offered now digitally and in presence. We've such a big catalog. I don't know how big it is, but I just know it's very big. So we decided we're going to have to do everything differently. Now, I know that's very interesting. The catalog is great. I love it, and I've used it very, very often, and we want to keep it. But we also want to have a dynamic system where changes and improvements become active and live very quickly. And so we decided we're going to do this in digital format, so customers can log in and order something, So we're going to wind down the paper catalog, and we're going to put up here on our website the training schedules, the content, the different offers of training packages. This isn't more practical, but it's also good for our environment. It saves us paper. When we wind up the, so we said, let's plant a few trees. So we've sponsored a Dräger forest in Schleswig-Holstein. And because we've been using so much paper, we're going to wind down the use of paper, and instead we've planted a small forest. Could you tell us what kind of training do you provide? Well, may I show you first of all about the presentation, like how do we present it first of all? How do we bring it to the customer? Well, first of all, these are open seminars. Now, in our locations, we offer personnel where people like individuals or two people or small groups, they can come. Now, we do this in closed groups. That means we can go to a customer where only the specific customer is getting this particular training, so it can be tailor-made to the customer's individual needs. So there are two different things, and of course we do all these live online too. So it's not only online, I'm quite proud of this actually. We were doing this even before Corona forced everybody online. We have web-based training, webinars, which we've been doing for quite a few years now. Wherever it's really necessary, we offer digital classrooms, webinars. Customers really appreciate them. Sometimes you've got 60 technicians all across Germany. They meet together centrally. It's very difficult to get them physically together. No problem with the webinar. They all just log in from the various locations. Everybody can take part actively and passively. And you've got the best. We've got nothing but good feedback for this. And of course, ideally, what the customer gets is a combination of live presence and digital. But of course, everything's possible. Nothing is necessary. Nothing is mandatory. Okay, great. It's good to see that you're really well trained and you've got experience in digitalization. Now, I don't want to keep you away from your work. You're here at the trade fair booth all day and tomorrow until Friday for these services. So thank you very much. And if customers want to come along, they can talk to you directly. I'm going to hand back now to the studio and to you, Kim. Okay, thank you, Olaf and Annelies. That was a very good tour of your service. I think that's very interesting, Hannes. But I've got a few questions from interested viewers. First one is, how do I know if I need a function control or a system control? Well, that's very easy. The 21 and 23, these are the data sheets where the technical regulations are set forth and illustrated, and they stipulate that you have to make a service control 3 times a year. The two types of control. And if the last function control is more than 4 months past, then it's time to make a new one. Okay, great. Next question. How do I order the service now? We've seen a few approaches. Maybe you can summarize them. Well, there are various channels you can use. First of all, digital, using Herstellerservice.de. That's very popular, uncomplicated. Or else you can directly call us or call your technician or agent and order it that way. Okay, great. Thank you very much for the questions. Keep them coming through the chat or any other channel you wish to use. We're talking now about EPOS. Could you maybe tell us just 1 or 2 remarks about that? Well, in the seminar catalog, which was being used for several years, which we heard about from the Dräger Academy, we've decided to digitize the whole thing, as we've just heard, and no information is going to be lost. All the most important information about the Academy, its location, the contact people there, where people can stay, accommodation close to the Academy. That's all that on our website, and all information about training, service, like who is it ideally for, what's the content, how are they tailor-made to suit your businesses, and then you can just inquire about availability, And for live seminars, or also you can order the one specific for your business. Now I'd like to turn to our viewers again. I'd like to ask you, have you ever attended a Dräger training? And again, use the Voxar survey QR code, or go on the website voxar.com Dräger. And then the question here is, have you ever taken part in a Dräger seminar? Let's see what kind of responses we're getting for that. And that's a great result. I think it's quite clear. So you see, customers are curious. They wanted to find out what it is. And as you can see, people have been visiting us for some time. And I hope they're all satisfied with what training they received. Second question is, you know, the current pandemic doesn't mean that present seminars aren't always available. But our question here is, who has generally taken part in a digital training session or seminar or webinar? So let's see, this is maybe changing a little bit. I think it's a healthy mixture, is it? Yes, but still 2/3 have taken part in digital training or webinars, because they're just a great way of communicating to people, and you still have a personal contact, you know. You can see everybody in their home offices, no matter where they are. And a lot of the, you know, we use slides and illustrations, whatever. Yeah, it's just like we do here, but we'll talk about our illustrations later at the end. Now, you talked about the booking portal. How does that work? Well, we have a link here, and that gets you to the booking portal. You can select all types of seminars, activities, webinars, and also the hybrid systems, blended learning, where you can first of all learn the theoretical basis, and then in the second training section you learn the practical applications, and you find ways of implementing what you've learned in your daily business, like appropriate for the work that faces you as a particular worker or as an employer. You know, and then you see what kind of values and detection systems are most relevant for you. Okay. Afterwards, we're going to show you the QR scan again, so you'll have another opportunity for scanning it. Thank you for what you've told us so far, but now I want to switch back to our third booth, and I think Anna Lisa has another expert beside her. Yes, Olaf is gone. We have here David Siemens. He's a sales colleague of mine, actually. Could you maybe tell us something about yourself, what you do, and why you like your job? Hello, David Siemens is my name. I'm manager for steel and wastewater in Dräger. I like that very much because we can really implement very interesting concepts with our very individual and tailor-made concepts for our customers. Yes, I heard that you did a great concept, very interesting with a concept with a large customer. How did that happen? Well, first of all, you know, we work very close to the customers, so we're aware always of what customers they need, what we think we can offer them, what suggestions we can make to the customer specific to his needs. And that meant in that case that we drew up a concept, and because of Corona, we had to have an individual training concept and develop that for the customer, because for that reason there was a difficult situation and we weren't able to visit the customers. So how did that happen? What kind of requirements do the customers have? Well, first of all, the customers, as usual, they had certain challenges, certain problems. They didn't have enough trainers, and this meant that a certain product portfolio was present, so they needed an individual solution for this, for individual training to meet the customer's individual requirements. So he decided for web-based learning. What did this situation look like? Well, web-based training in that specific case was that we had the requirements for training and measuring and detection technology and breathing protection, but we also had breathing training that required presence training, where we had to meet the people physically. So we had a hybrid solution. Some was online, some was actually in presence, and that turned out to be a very satisfactory solution. But the most important thing was the great flexibility that we created, and that gave the customer major savings in time and, of course, as a result, also in money. Okay, that was tailor-made for the customer. What do you think that would also be appropriate for small customers? Yes, of course, training affects all customers because we're talking about use, handling of the devices, how to be aware of risks, what improvements you can make, what measures are necessary, what are advisable. So we just look at the customer, we make an individual analysis, we find out what the customer needs, and then we prepare the present or online training seminars or webinars for that customer. What do you think, how does the customer have to prepare for that? Well, first of all, for us, it means we, of course, as I said, we understand the customer's requirements, and then we work towards an individual concept in interaction with the customer. Have they got their own management system for this, or do they want that from Dräger? They want to draw that from Dräger, and then we go gradually into implementation. How did it work in this case? What stages had to be passed through? Well, at the beginning, we were in coordination, and then we gradually devised a special concept, content, and a timetable, and then we all the time work together with the customer. This brings us back to our cubes here. Now, obviously, the idea is to get the ideal setting for the customer and the ideal product for the customer, and that brings us back to the studio. Thank you to both of you. For David, we're going to talk to you later, but first we'll continue here in the studio. I'd like to ask you, how should a customer decide whether to buy or rent a device? Well, it depends on the requirements. Do they need it sporadically or regularly or permanently or very occasionally? You know, once you have a device, of course, you've got certain obligations. Once you own it, you're responsible for servicing and for maintenance. So you really have to think about which model is better for you, purchase or rental. And if a customer decides for rental, how does that work? Well, you know, it depends on what they need. Sometimes they need only one or two minor devices. Sometimes they need a whole inventory of products, including protective clothing and equipment. They can get that through the rent shop. And you know, if they have certain times, peak times of peak demand, then they have to coordinate that with us, and that's relatively easy in the practice, where we can give them what they need at short term to fulfill their peak and short term demands and needs. Now we have a very brief video to show you in this respect. This is talking about sharing economy. We see this in car rental, bike rental, motorbike rental. It's now established everywhere. We can see this in our cities, but we can also see it in industrial area. The main point is that devices are in this way made short-term available for the customers through rental. Of course, ownership has obligations, people say, and it's true for our portfolio. So it doesn't matter if you buy this, there's no point in purchasing it if you don't have the experts to look after it in terms of servicing and maintenance. And work safety, of course, shouldn't know any compromises. Like, we and our customers and their staff all have to make sure that everybody is kept safe and in perfect condition for the people and for the equipment themselves. So there can be no compromises in that regard. The subject of logistics is, of course, very decisive, because when you rent something, flexibility in logistics is very, very important. We want to keep high quality, rapid deployment and delivery. So we have warehouses all over the world and every continent, so that we can supply our customers short-term with the equipment they need according to their peak demands. We have a very wide portfolio here in stock, over 100 product types, 200,000 rental objects, and our portfolio goes not only from classic Dräger protection like gas protection or gas detection, but also things that our customers will need in maintenance. That's protective systems for working in high warehouses, certain protected electronics, ventilation, extra ventilation equipment. Our customer requirements are, of course, very individual. Sometimes people need one gas mask, maybe for 1 or 2 days, all the way up to 100 or more devices for weeks. We, of course, adapt to the customer's needs, and we've taken all that into account in compiling our offer packages so that we can give the customer the most beneficial and economical solution for him in terms of service. So profitability and flexibility, there are our key points. And in many areas of safety technology, the question of is it yours, my benefit, or your benefit, that just disappears. It's a benefit for both of us. It's a win-win. Okay, great. Now I have one question for you here. We not only have the opportunity through the web shop or direct contact, there's also the rental robot. Could you tell us something about that? Well, that's an output station from Dräger. It's 24/7 available, and all workers can take their equipment from this. If you have this as a customer, all of your staff can take their machines from this system and deposit it back in when they're finished with it. But let's have a look at what it looks like live. Over to the booth. Yes, we've just seen this film, Mine and Yours, a win-win situation. Okay, could you tell us something about that? Well, 27 availability, no need for any personnel. Okay, we've prepared now, we've got a device here. That's a pack. Could you show us how it works? Well, first of all, I open my dialog window. We scan then the device, and then I can decide according to the condition, is it a defect device or is it a faultless? And then you can also define whether it's soiled here or contaminated, has been exposed to contamination. And if not, then if it is soiled or has any kind of problem, it goes into the drop box. So it goes back to the workshop for cleaning or for servicing or repair or whatever. And the large solution we see over here, that's the safety shop. Well, that's the on-site shop. That's a great service point for our customers who've got large inventories. Here you can get advice as well as services, maintenance, repair, whatever, especially for large inventories. So you can also rent devices here, bring them back, and this allows the customer concentrate on his core activities and do what he does best to make money. Okay, great. Now, if you have any interest in Rent-A-Robot or in the on-site safety shop, then please contact us. You have the email address. Also, through any of the other channels we've shown you, you can ask us about any of the services we've talked about. And that's why we're very confident we can give you what you need. And when we say bye-bye to you now from our booth. Back to you, Ken. Now, as I said, everybody is here until the end of the week, so anybody can come around. If you have an opportunity to come to Düsseldorf to the trade fair, to meet these people, get advice, find out what else they can offer you until the end of the week. Okay, we're coming now also to the end of our session, and before we come to the final winding up, I'd like to go back to our artist, to Berlin, to Ingrid, and find out what she has been inspired to create in terms of work arts this time. Can you hear me, Ingrid? Hi. I can hear you very well. So, you know, people have problems with technology. I want to see how you experienced our last live session. Yes, this time actually I created only one picture, but still it's a very big one. I call it like it's something for fiddling around with for adults. Adult fiddle around picture, that's what I call it. I'm going to zoom into it a bit. So the subject was services. And we heard so many different things. First of all, I like this slogan, do what you do best and we do the rest. And you see, I'm scrolling this down. I hope that doesn't irritate your eyes. Okay, I'm going to scroll around a bit. I really like this slogan, do what you do best and we'll do the rest. And then I just gave myself free rein. Just as you talk so much about the services, basically Dräger is relieving you of certain obligations, certain work, certain chores you have to do. So let's say you've got your people who are working very hard and they concentrate on what they do best, but they're distracted by all these regulations, by the laws, by problems that occur, by the need to conduct maintenance, servicing. And they say, I only want to do my work. Can you help me? Okay, so what else did we have? Yes, we relieve you of chores, technology for life. You talked about the Vision Zero, and that's the way I imagine it, that the worker, the employer, is giving to his worker a suit that closes properly, the mask that fits properly. We see a gas leak, it's closed immediately, so accidents just don't happen. And you also see that nothing is around and you're not going to trip over some obstacle. I also showed the safety shop in the corner very briefly at the end. What else? Let's go up to the top. Yes, here we have consulting and training and advice services we offer. And then the forests in Schleswig-Holstein, which Dräger got planted. The academy, of course, is a school. It's available for presence teaching live or digitally. Training and coaching is offered there, as well as traditional advice. So you see, we still have the telephone, if anybody remembers these old telephones. And at the trade fair booth, we had this pile of cubes, which I really like to see. It was very graphic. I like graphic things. And that was great at helping people make decisions. And you see one person has a helmet that's something's wrong with it, so puts it in and to this pack, sends it back and immediately gets another one. So I think my scroll, is it working? Yes, it's working. Now I got the rental robot.
Und ganz zum Schluss, ich hatte noch ein bisschen Platz hier auf meiner Karte.
I had a bit of space left, you see, at the end, so I'm going to zoom out and then zoom in again. This is my last session, so I have to say goodbye to you here. Now, thank you very much for having me here and giving me an opportunity to show you my drawings. And that's why I drew myself in the end, because I'm also giving you a service. And here I am. That's like as my signature, picture, a self-portrait. And as I said, again, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to give you this assistance and communicate with people I normally don't meet in my job, like technicians who are working every day very hard, and I'm sitting comfortably in my studio drawing nice, I hope, pictures. So that was my service for you. Thank you very, very much. And bye now. Thank you, Ingrid. That's really a great picture in the end. And I can see how varied and how broad this subject is. So thank you, Ingrid. As I said, we can see all this, all your drawings at the end. And I hope you have a nice day and enjoy yourself in Berlin. Okay, Hannes, now we're coming to the end, but before we really conclude, I'd like a final statement from you. Well, we have the perfect service product for everybody. Everything is prompt, reliable. You can be sure that our equipment is going to continue operating. It can be replaced at short notice, taken back in for maintenance. We provide substitute. And again, remember, do what you do best. We'll do the rest. Concentrate on your core earnings-bringing activities. Okay, thank you. I'd like you to enjoy the rest of the trade fair, and I'd like to thank also our viewers for tuning in. to take part in our sessions. As I said, the first live sessions are already online on our YouTube channel, and you're going to get an email with all important content too. Thank you very much to the technicians too, everybody behind the camera. I was really glad to have you, and I have nothing really left to say except stay healthy, stay safe, and bye-bye now.